everyone, welcome to this day 2 of week 3 of the OPL. My name is Michael Hingersing, and joining me here we have Brandon Jufsafina and also Joshua Jish Hummerston Carr, coach of the Chiefs. Did I get that right?
No, you didn't, but
that's right. Missed it. What did I mess up?
It's Carr Hummerston. It's alphabetical, man.
I apologize. All right, well, I tried. We're very excited because 2 massive games of League of Legends for you today. How you doing today, Jufs? You well?
I'm all right. Could be a little bit better, but
yeah.
You know, I'll live.
And speaking of not feeling well, Jish, I hear you ate an entire cake last night, or tried to.
Yeah, made a fool's bet.
Yeah.
Really thought I had its number, but the cake definitely beat me. And then I had a rough morning today, so yeah, not the best.
I've never been hungover because of a cake before, but how you're feeling? You're feeling a bit sugared. How's it? What's the long-term effects of eating an entire cake or failing to?
We're going to find out, aren't we?
All right. Well, let's bring up the schedule for today's game, shall we? And we can also look at what happened yesterday. Regicide went down to... Well, I think that's incorrect, actually. Regicide went down to Chiefs, I believe, yesterday. And we also saw AV take down Sin. Today, we're going to see Direwolves take on Abyss. But we're going to start things off with Legacy and Tainted Minds. And I'm excited about this game because Tainted Minds showed some promise last week against you guys, Jubes.
Yeah, TM took a game off us off the back of like a really good jungle performance, and that's what I guess I'll be looking for today. I'll be looking for only to I guess pop off against Carbon.
Yeah, so just as you've said, I think it really is going to be about Only, and if he can stand up to Carbon, you know, the mighty new player. But I think we've got actually a pretty cool match of, or I guess a mismatch of styles in the carry and the supportive player.
So we've talked about this before. Yeah. Only much more of a solo queue style kind of jungler. He's there to carry. You've said before as well, like Carbon, as opposed to that, is much more about the playing for the team, right?
Well, Carbon's openly said that he's probably the only player in the world that's built Redemption on Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get the drift of what type of player he is. He's happy to just be carried. And he's openly said that. Like, if my team's going to carry me, I'll let you carry me. Whereas Only's got that high risk, high reward playstyle. He just wants to power farm, get leads, and I guess do the most damage.
So how does that translate into actual gameplay for the rest of the teams, Jish?
So it's really, it changes how their lanes have to play. So obviously, Carbon plays for his lanes and plays with his lanes really well. And I think that's what they have a key advantage in. So all of their lanes are definitely going to be playing around Carbon's position on the map and where they're pushing. And I think Only is sort of missing that sort of key link where he doesn't always need to be. He's not always on the map where he's like laners need him to be, and then his laners are often being a bit more aggressive than they should be based on his position on the map.
I'm kind of concerned then about like how TM can win a game then, right? What kind of things need to fall into place for them to be able to take a game? Because obviously they're going in as underdogs versus Legacy, who are definitive favourites.
I guess it depends on what champ Only gets. If he gets Lee Sin, like I think he's just gonna power gank, and he can just snowball off that. Like that's not to say he can't get ganks off. Like if Legacy are playing with disrespect against Tainted Minds TM's laners, then yeah, it can turn into a game like it did against us, where it just snowballs. And I think whereas like Carbon kind of counteracts that because he's all about controlling vision and allowing his laners to actually do what they need to do.
Yeah, and then you see him like in the player cams too. We don't have insight into his comms, but you see him. He's always quite vocal, and he's like, you know, he's just telling his lane. He's like, you can't be there. Like, get back. Like his person's here. Like, so I think his tracking is actually really good. So I think that Only should struggle, I guess, even though he's like a standout individual. I think that Carbon probably can keep him down.
In terms of carry threats for TM, we saw last split, Pradith was able to split push his way to a couple of nice performances for the team. But looking at his play last week against you guys in specific, I was talking to Spawn about this, and he was like, hey, why don't you count up Pradith's teleports? And I did. And the first game, he used teleport twice against you, once back to lane, and once he cancelled, right? And then for the rest, I count up the rest of the series. In about 105 minutes of gameplay, he teleported, I think, 11 or 12 times. About a third of them were back to lane, about a third of them were cancelled, which means he's only using a third of his teleports to actually join teamfights. So, I mean, what does that mean for players?
Well, I think when you come up against TM and you're versing Pradith, there's one thing you know he's gonna do, and it's PvE. It's player versus environment. he's gonna farm. He's gonna get that lead. He's gonna probably have an advantage top lane. They're gonna pick ban for him to get either Fiora, Jarvan, even AP Echo, and he's going to look to just be taking those towers down while the rest of the team just wave clear and stalls and creates, I guess, kind of like pseudo pressure in mid lane or bot lane while he's top.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit though, I think that Tainted Minds for an OPL team, especially like one that's just been completely revamped, I think that they're doing quite well in playing to like that TP bait and then letting him go back to lane. So he actually does do quite well to I guess like the 4-man unit, kind of like bait the engage and then keep like the enemy interested, but don't stay in like an engage lane and get punished too hard.
All right, well, speaking of TM, let's take a look at their lineup, shall we, as they're getting ready right now in the OPL studios here at Riot. And there's only himself, potential carry threat jungler. And let's go through their roster, shall we? Just bring it up on your screen. Their top laner, who we already spoke about, is Praetor. Their jungler and potential carry threat is only his haircut. Not a fan. I mean, I like it, but it's not functional. It's blocking out his eyes.
What's with you and roasting people's haircuts?
No, I'm not. I'm just a fan of haircuts in general. Right, Shock is their mid laner. Their AD carry is low, and their support player, friend of the desk, is the Goon. Playing hacky sack with the Heat Warm Packs T-Gun there. And I'm excited about these guys. They had a very good, clean game one last week, and I've high hopes for them today. I don't know. I mean, look, Carbon himself from Legacy spoke very highly of them during the cast. So, you know, let's take a look at, speaking of Carbon, let's take a look at their team, shall we? Legacy getting ready in the OPL studios as you bring them up on your screen, and Tally there having a nice little laugh. Let's go through their roster, shall we? Bring it up on your screen. Their top laner is Tally. And he's been playing a lot of, he's been kind of, I feel like he's just been filling the role for Legacy in the top lane right now. But maybe we'll pop off today. Their jungler, we already spoke about, and captain is Carbon. Their mid laner is Claire. Their AD carry is Lost. And I'm laughing at Big Brain in the background there. And their support player is Cupcake. And do you see any weaknesses in this squad when we go through the lineup there, Jubes, or potential places where TM will look to exploit?
Well, what I would say is that they do put a lot of eggs in their bot lane's basket. So if their bot lane does not pop off, and their bot lane just has a bad game, they're really, I would say, exposable.
That's a word, yeah.
Yeah. So because Carbon it plays Nunu his last 3 games, so he's not going to be carrying anything from the jungle. They kind of don't give Tally the resources that.
You're such an anti-Nunu man.
I think everyone hates Nunu except Carbon.
Is Nunu like the Teemo of the jungle?
I think Teemo's the Teemo of the jungle.
Probably.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no, actually, I kind of agree. It does seem like a hard ask from TM to step up here. I think that, you know, maybe the way my inner chief is going to speak is going to be, we hope that TM can just have like one fantastic game, so Legacy only get the 2 points. But no, I mean, I don't really see any too feasible avenues.
Well, let's grab your guys' predictions then. Jubes, what's this going to be?
I'm going to go with a Legacy 2-0.
Yep. Jess, do you agree?
Well, no, I'm going to go with the inner chief and just really hope for the 2-1 Legacy.
Come on, let's make it happen.
He reminds me of a Chase Carbon. I hate Legacy.
Let's take a look at your tips from at home as well. opltips.com.au. And my goodness, everyone thinks Legacy's going to take this. And only a third of people think this is going to be a 3-game series. Hashtag #IamOPL. Let us know your thoughts. But, you know, I said this yesterday. There are prizes for this tipping comp. You know, you can get Uber Eats vouchers if you get in the top 250. That's so, like, it's so easy to get Uber Eats
I
vouchers.
didn't know this. I was angry before. I was like, wait, I could be getting Uber Eats from this?
I know.
No one
I
told
know.
me.
It's actually a ritual in my house to at least one day a week, Uber Eats, get some Indian to your doorstep.
Oh, really?
But big fan of butter chicken. Big fan of butter chicken.
All right. Well, it is time for us to get into our first game of the day. Before we do, earlier this week, we spoke to TM about their revamped lineup. Let's see what they had to say.
We all got into the Tainted House roughly a week before the split. With League of Origin, there was some hiccups getting everyone in at the same time because Only was playing in League of Origin and I was there as an analyst. But we got in, we all got settled pretty quickly, and now I'm in there 5 days a week.
It's definitely different from last split because I only had 2 people in the house, and though we did scrim a lot, it wasn't really directed scrims.
Playing in the OPL this split has been like a really good learning experience for me. I played like 3 splits of the OCS, so this is like obviously like just a huge step up.
When I first walked into the Riot studio and saw like the AV players for the first time, it was a weird, surreal feeling. You know, seeing it on stream a lot of times, and then you finally get to be on stage, you finally get to be on camera, I guess.
I think the main thing was the nerves before the game, because once you get into the game, it's sort of like, you know, I've played this game 1,000 times. Doesn't even matter if I'm in front of an audience or not, but before the games, I'd be really, really nervous.
It definitely feels like we're a little bit behind the other teams. We've got a lot of bonding to do, but I think we're improving pretty quickly. We're getting a lot of practice. Johnny is doing a lot of work. He's doing a lot of prep before every game.
We have a coach in Cyclone who has goals throughout the week for us to achieve.
Every time I go out there to play, I'm trying to do right by him because his drafts are better than most coaches. If you look at our Sin series, I think he did better than Benzel in every game.
Felt like all the practice we did, we just applied and it went smoothly. All our preparation, we let them have the Zach and it worked out exactly how we expected.
We gave them Zach because we knew Jude sucked at it. And after the draft, Benzel comes out and he's all happy. He's like, yeah, we got Zach. He sucks at it. So, you know, Johnny's done his research and he presents good stuff for us and we need to do right by him and play well for that.
I see 10 of Mines as like that wild card team where like you think you can just run us over, but then we pick Fiora and like just steal back from you when you win.
Triple dead. 2K. He's low too, You get it? You got it. Good.
I think a lot of teams don't give us the respect that we should be given.
It's a little bit because they underestimate us, and it's also because teams don't like looking weak. There's a really good phrase that I wish would come through esports, which is humble in victory, gracious in defeat, right? Teams are not that. After the Sin series, they go online, they go, wow, that really sucked. Sorry guys, we'll do better next week, even though they beat us. Because again, they think we suck. Instead of going, wow, that was a really hard-fought series, well played to TM, glad we came away with the victory, same sort of sentiment, different phrasing, because they want to look even better.
By midway through the split, we have to be winning series rather than just games here and there, because obviously we've only played 2 series so far and we've won 1 game, but definitely going in the second half of the split, we need to start winning series.
My goal since the start of the season was to make at least top 4. Since this is probably going to be my last season playing, preferably I'd like to win, but I'm not going to come in, do the Direwolves thing and say we're going to beat everyone but SKT, because I think that's extremely arrogant. So as long as I perform up to my standards and we do Johnny proud, I'm happy with whatever we get.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. About to get into the first match of today. I'm Matt Fish-Stewart. Joining me is Bryce Ejapol as well as Jake, the Chiefs spawn, Tiberi. As we're about to get into this next first game of today.
Where did that come from?
Oh, we got so many Chiefs here today. It just came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, sure. Then we've got 2 Chiefs here. You pipe down. Freaking play-by-play casters.
Yeah,
I've been through a couple and I still haven't found one I like. Maybe we'll get to a different one next split.
Oh. Good luck finding one of those. We are getting to the first match today. It's going to be TM taking on Legacy. We just heard a lot of strong words coming out from the TM lineup, talking about, you know, how they've just rebranded themselves, you know, moved into the gaming house together, kind of settling in with one another as well.
Yeah, and I think I want to touch on something. I think Doublelift was quoted in an interview with TSM earlier this week, saying that they were looking to be the best team possible for the end of the split. And I think something that stood out to me in the TM video was like, they're saying like they need to stop winning just games and they start need to winning series. And I think they're working on things behind the scenes and they're not just looking to come into the OPL and just win every series sort of thing. They're working on their issues and it's kind of like a long-term strategy. And as a new team, I think that's a really good place to be.
And I mean, you've worked with Cyclone in the past, their coach Johnny, as they were calling him in the video. What are your thoughts on him? Is he the guy to be able to, you know, make those incremental adjustments?
I mean, he's been coaching, albeit it was trampolining, very niche thing, but he's been coaching for a lot of his life. And I think he's actually very good at implementing structure and quite a young team, except for the Goon. Probably he's been around the traps for a while. I think they will kind of rally behind him, and I think he is a good leader for them.
We heard from earlier, TM, as you mentioned, already talking about how they need to start winning more games mid-split. That's kind of something we talked about with Regicide yesterday.
Yep.
How, you know, anything from them is great. Like, as soon as we see some form of improvement, that's fantastic from Regicide. It's kind of the same for TM at the moment, especially when they can pick up those wins, but hopefully we see more. Going into these bans that have come through so far, nothing out of the usual, but at least being picked up.
You're killing me. I was going to guess the whole Legacy draft. I was going to pick the Jhin because Lost has been absolutely spamming it in solo queue. I'm sure people have been seeing him run around the traps. Nunu is really good with Jhin at the moment. I actually think movement speed on Jhin is one of the most underrated stats.
Nunu is good with Jhin.
Yeah.
He gives attack speed, and Jhin has 4 bullets, and then he runs out.
He gets AD off them, so pipe down, but it's the movement speed, because the only way Jhin really gets shut down extremely late game is the fact that he doesn't have gap closers to be able to get away from the divers. You expect, you know, Jarvan or Fiora or something like that to come out of Praetor, so that's what they have to be worried about.
Movement speed is definitely a thing on Jhin, though, because when he's got his Warlords proc, and then he's running around with his 4th bullet, there's nothing scarier than a Jhin just zooming at you, like with mega speed with his 4th bullet.
What about with a Blood Boil on top of the movement speed
you're
proc?
Right,
Come on.
Right. I'm surprised they picked the Jhin over the Caitlyn or anything like that, though. It does seem a bit weird to me. The engage AD carries are obviously still up. Ash and Varus, and there we see TM pick the Varus.
Yeah, so Lowe's going for the Varus pick, one of his signature AD carries. They picked up Karma as well, which can go mid lane. Probably going to be T-Gun's support, though.
I'm also a little bit surprised that Lowe hasn't gone Ash here. Caitlyn here, because the one thing that has historically given Jin a lot of problems is a shoving support as well as a shoving AD carry. Don't get me wrong, Varus can do that, but not going to go towards an AD build. Most likely probably going to go towards Blade of the Ruined King.
Oh, juicy.
Bold.
Picking Blitzcrank into T-Gun. I like that.
I think picking Blitzcrank into such a heavy shoving lane, I mean, sure, you can still look for the picks, but
I think it's whether Carbon can get down there early, because it's sort of like you will eventually get pushed in, but if they have to respect the jungle pressure, then you can just like flash for a hook. But I'm interested, like TM are probably flexing that Karma, so I think it was pretty bold of them to just pick the Blitzcrank there, because there's still a few things that T-Gun could pick into the Blitz that would serve well, like a tank, a Braum, something like that. More frontline, Leona.
He was known for his Leona back in the day.
It's pretty niche. But yeah, I feel like it is a pretty brave call.
I mean, normally I hate Leona in the AD carry position because there's so many gap closers in the game right now, but when you're running around with a Nunu, a Jin, and a Blitzcrank, she probably can hit some skill shots late game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Cupcake did play Blitzcrank last week and had a really good game on the champion as well.
He had a good game. Blinky also had a shocking game, I think it's fair to say, by OPL standards. Please someone get the Photoshop with the Kiwi jungler. I'm sick of watching him on an Adam Gilchrist spotty.
Kiwi jungler?
Kiwi cricketer. Yeah, sorry. Good correction there.
Well, the next few bans have come in from Legacy so far. Syndra and Fiora taken off the table. Big target ban over towards Praetor. We have Talia being taken away from Claire. We saw a lot of Talia bans targeted towards Ryoma from Sin, and LeBlanc is the final ban.
What do you think about the Talia ban? I mean, maybe he wants to go back towards Orianna, and I know Talia does have a little bit of a difficult laning phase at the start of the game against her.
Yeah, I mean, with Syndra ban, like Ori is looking like a pretty easy blind pick here for Legacy, I guess. Oh, they're going for the top lane. They want the cannon pick for Claire. Jarvan makes a lot of sense. Pretty, like, just standard tank at the moment. Like, does fairly well even in his losing matchups. Still serves a lot of purpose for the team. Has a lot of CC engage potential.
Yep. He's got the big buff of the new locket of the Iron Solari, which can pick up his 4th item.
That is OP. The gargoyle and the locket, and you give everyone a 7 million shield, like on your entire team. Like that is unfair.
Normally, I would agree with you guys, but they're playing against TM.
Yeah.
And if he's going both Gargoyle, Stoneplate, and Locket as a team fighting build, I am sorry, but Praetor is not going to let him get towards a team fight in the latter stages of the game, unless Claire is playing a split pushing mid laner.
But I feel like it's on Legacy to make the proactive play. Oh, is that? Oh no, he's just hovering on the other side. Yeah. It's on Legacy to make the proactive play, because I feel like Praetor just doesn't want to answer things.
Why not?
With his TP. Like he just doesn't seem to. That's an
Alistar support. That's a mid lane Karma Alistar support.
Yeah, okay. I talked about the Karma flex. That was definitely a good choice. Karma into Blitzcrank is not good, but the Ali, if you hook an Alistar into your team, like Ali he has 2 options, right? He can just like CC a bunch of people with his combo, or he can choose to just pole someone and throw someone back into his team.
Yep.
But
I know that your problems with Alistar at the moment is that pole and throwing someone back into your team a little bit difficult. You used to be able to walk around them. Now you have to flash or, hope that you get pulled behind someone.
Yeah, I mean, if Blitzcrank is pulling you in, then, that's a Lucian mid.
And Lucian be picked up by Claire. So Jin bottom lane, Lucian mid up against Karma.
This is just a strange team comp from both squads.
I'm too confused.
Yeah, that's full AD from Legacy.
Yeah, there's very little ability power, just Cupcake and Carbon, and that's nothing. Well, next to nothing.
Yeah, full AD. I mean, like the TM don't really have many tanks. I guess like all they have is the Alistar. Like he can stack armor, but at the end of the day, he's the support. He doesn't get too much gold. Camille's going to want to be pressuring in the side lane, so like she can't really build resistance tank for the team. And Elise, I don't know, wants to build AP, wants to actually do damage and not just be a CC bot. So full AD doesn't matter too much. Yeah.
I mean, the thing that is really confusing about this team is that Legacy have got a decent team fight, but I thought that if they went a control mage, they would have a really good team fight in this situation. But when going Lucian, you don't even really have that good siege. I mean, Jin's got good range, but Lucian has quite poor range, and they have no one to really peel off turrets, and they don't have great wave clear. So at the same time, I think that Legacy's comp is very good throughout the laning phase. I think they've got a very aggressive jungler with probably 2.5 winning lanes. I think Jarvan will be fine after the Tiamat purchase comes through. And on the side of TM, they've kind of got a 4-man unit that they're maybe just hoping to keep off turrets again and letting the Camille go to work.
Yep. But they don't have an awful lot of disengage like in that 4-man unit. I guess they have a lot of wave clear with the Karma, with the Varus, so they do want to just be making space for the Camille to split. But if Blitzcrank lands a hook, they really have nothing. Like, it's either if Ali gets hooked in the 4-man unit and TM aren't in a position to punish, then like he's actually just going to blow his cooldowns for free, and he's not going to be useful in the.
But it has to be the hook
fight.
because at a run forward comp, I think that they do have okay in disengage. They have Empower Q out of Karma as well as shields to speed people up.
Disengage?
I mean, it's a big slow, and they don't have gap closers to get onto them apart from Tally.
If you're empowering your Q to disengage on Karma, I feel like then you're only shielding one
Empower
person
your
out.
E and run away. You've got stuns coming out from everyone as well. But before we get into this match, let's check in with Cyclone, the coach of TM.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with the TM coach Cyclone. And tell me about this Ali pick. We haven't seen a lot of it in the OPL this split, so for people who haven't seen a lot of it in competitive, what does he bring to the table?
He's just a big tank, and he nullifies the Blitzcrank lane, which they kind of surprised us with. So we needed to pick something that could go even and be a threat that they didn't want to pull.
So this is a thing that you've specifically picked because of Blitz? It's not a thing you guys practice necessarily
Well,
more broadly?
I always keep a few things in my back pocket for days like this, so we always practice things occasionally. But yeah, this is the day to bring it out.
So,
Blitzcrank.
yeah, so going forward then, I mean, what are the win conditions for your team as you see them going into this game?
We've got a few options. I mean, we've ended up with 4 support type characters being picked in this draft, which is kind of interesting. They've got Nunu, we've got Karma. So look at a lot of like really extended team fights because neither team has a lot of damage. I think Legacy like to play with tempo, and we have a strong split push / duelist with Camille. So yeah, well, both teams are looking for a pretty heavy mid game, I think.
Cool. All right, we'll look forward to the mid game. Thanks for speaking to us, and best luck in the game.
There you go, checking with Cyclone there. Picking Alistar into Blitz just for this occasion, one thing that really caught me by surprise was the fact that he said Blitzcrank was a surprise pick, which is becoming a lot more popular recently, and Cupcake did play it last week.
He probably just meant surprise at that point in the draft.
Yeah.
Like third picking it on the red side when Karma is a pretty notorious flex at this stage. I think it was a pretty ballsy move out of Legacy, and it would have taken TM by surprise a little bit. But in saying that, they were prepared for it. With the early... Oh.
That's a very early hook coming out from Cupcake. Tegan's still going to take a lot of damage from this. Lost changes priority to low. Gets a great trade there. Crit shot as well. That's not great for the TM bottom lane.
Yeah, and see, the worst thing about this is bot lane is all about the level 2, and now Legacy just have free reign of the minions, and they can push for the level 2 because Tegan doesn't have his Colossus shield, he doesn't have his Pulve up, so he can't actually do anything. He can't contest the wave, and now they're just going to get zoned.
They also just missed a minion because they walked too far back. I mean, I like giving respect, but I don't like running out of range of experience.
Oh, here we go.
Only's going to run into Carbon here, though. Both of them looking for a fight, it seems.
You can just go over to the blast.
No, he hit the
used it. Oh, okay.
So Carbon tags Ocean Dragon. He runs away. Meanwhile, Claire and Shock trading in the mid lane. Claire actually getting a decent trade there against the Karma.
I mean, that's what happens when your mid lane's getting pushed in and your bottom lane's getting pushed in. You can't find the jungler in the river.
I don't know why he didn't rappel over the wall. And then, I guess he would have had to flash anyway, but it seems a bit weird taking the plane over and then immediately...
Ooh, good hook from Cupcake. That locks down low. Immediate follow-up coming out from Tegan, but Claire's already done the damage he needs to.
All right, so this is something that Alistar players need to be up with their AD carry, because you could see that Tegan was a little bit further behind low then, and even if your AD carry gets hooked, your response is to immediately go onto the AD carry, and the CC time is roughly the same. And it's not working out that way.
That's not great. Tegan's in a lot of trouble. He's forced to flash. You got to heal as well. Lost, not quite in range. Get that final auto attack. But Cupcake more than happy to hook Tegan when he gets close.
Other than that hook from the bush.
Oh, what are you doing, Tegan? That was actually a disaster.
Telling you, Jin, back in the meta. It's going to make for a lot of fun lanes. Like
that was a 4-shot, mate. I told you, nothing scarier than a Jin with his 4-shot, flinging around. He's holding his hand up, and then he just...
Flashes on your head.
No, he flautoed it. Hit him with a flauto. Flash auto.
I can't believe that that's still a thing that goes around in the game.
I don't think Cupcake has missed a hook though. Other than that, as I was saying, other than the one on level 1, he's
on
actually
fire.
popping. Yeah, he's zooming.
Yep. He was really good last week on his Blitzcrank. Now he's giving TM's bottom lane a hard time. Top side of the map, something we have not checked in with yet. Kratos picked up Camille, as we mentioned during the draft phase, against this Jarvan. Renixon was banned out by TM and is one of the common picks into Jarvan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm interested in this matchup because Jarvan generally is one of those champions that you say he loses a lot of early games because you have to trade with mana, but then as soon as he gets his Tiamat and he doesn't have to commit to it, he generally takes over. And that was kind of where Camille fell after her nerfs. I mean, she was getting pushed in by people like Renekton, Rumble was becoming harder to duel against things like Fiora. But with all these banned out and now a Jarvan matchup, I think Camille's going to be actually pretty safe throughout the entirety of this game. You can't gank her.
Not with a Nunu, at least.
Not, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Or even a Lucian. Like, it's not like it's a Talia wall going up there. Yeah. So I actually think that this is a really nice adaptation out of the team.
Yep, Praetor's doing fine so far, but Tally's farming just as fine at the moment. In fact, he's slightly ahead in minions. Praetor does have a good mana and health advantage in this lane, so Tally should be forced back to base here. Cupcake now moving deeper into the Legacy River.
I mean, T-Gun's just kind of waiting for them to see if he can catch anyone out. Got some good information there through a couple of wards and has the entrances of bottom side warded, so that gives, I guess, Praetor implied knowledge of where the jungle is going to be if T-Gun ever enters river.
Didn't hit the plant though, so Nunu can always pop over the wall. They have a ward in the river bush as well, but I'm surprised the bot lane matchup isn't ahead more CS. I guess the wave is kind of poor for them now and it's pushing in. TM will struggle to push this in. Oh, actually, given the vision you said, they're probably going to see Carbon on the Nunu doing Gromp very soon. As he walks around this corner, they're going to see him and be able to respect the jungle pressure. But this is what, if they didn't have this vision, this is one of the dangerous situations where they feel obligated to push bot lane in because otherwise they're just going to get zoned. But the jungle pressure is obviously there and they don't want to die to a game.
Very big item advantage as well in the bottom lane. That hook not going to connect from Cupcake. Good knock up from T-Gun. Lost has taken quite a bit of damage. Nunu now looking to try and slow him down. Good stun from T-Gun. TM actually winning this trade despite the gank coming in from Carbon.
I mean, that's what happens when you chase into a creep wave. And Cupcake just wanted to continue that. He's got a biscuit. He's got all 3 stacks of his targets, so he's going to be back to full health by the time this pushes in. They just wanted to see whether they could continue it because they knew that the Elise was nowhere to be seen.
I mean, it was the creep wave, but it was also, if you miss Hook and you miss Jin W, they've really got nothing left to get on them, so...
No snowball, mate.
Yeah. Carbon tried to be cheeky to take this Ocean Dragon, but has been spotted out by TM. Only he's now made his way down into the bottom lane. There's a big item disadvantage in the bottom lane as well. Loss has picked up his BF sword. Double long sword for the other 80k, but Tally and Praetor going toe-to-toe. Both ultimates being used. Tally in some trouble. Praetor looking for the kill. He almost gets it, but the flag and drag combo from Tally so close to picking it up.
If he had warded that bush earlier, I think he gets an extra auto off.
I agree, and also if he had kind of ulted the damage that comes out of Cataclysm, which is kind of a telegraphed ability. Don't want to call him out a little bit for that one, but... got him!
Praetor outplaying Tally in the top lane.
Yeah, just perches on the wall. Of course, you can flash to extend the range, and Tally didn't respect that. That could have been a turnaround kill as well, because if Tally does respect it and flash the damage and the stun, probably has a flag and drag and auto attack in there. Interestingly enough, Tally's gone further, which I don't agree with. Jarvan trades incredibly well with Grasp of the Undying, and also gets a lot of cool stats out of the defensive tree as well. So I think that the fervor of battle is maybe in response to the split push, but you're never really going to beat Camille in the split push.
I'm no expert on top lane matchups, but I think the fervor will come in later into the game when he's matching Camille in the split. I think if he doesn't go further, he's actually just going to build like a lot of tank items, and he's just going to be ignored in the side lane, and Camille's just going to whack his turret. So it gives him, without having to itemize too much into like offensive, it gives him tools to actually deal with Camille later.
Yep. And we've already seen from Praetor himself how Jarvan can be used as a pseudo split pusher, so see if Tally is able to do the same thing here.
Don't get me wrong, still not my favorite split pusher in the game, Fish. If you want a split push, I could think of a couple of other champions that I'd rather take into the matchup. He's played it in the past.
Great success.
Carbon's going to use this time to take down an Ocean Dragon for his team. Secures that, nice and easy.
He's the Santa Nunu. Carbon is the Santa Nunu.
The workshop.
Yeah.
It suits him as well.
Yeah, he's an old man.
Presents.
It's not that old. You're not a spring chicken anymore either.
Oh.
I was watching footage of you at Winter 2014 standing next to him.
I dyed my hair black to be one of the cool kids.
Not a phase, Mom.
Again, top side of the map, Praetor doing absolutely fine.
He's going to turret dive him. He's actually could kill him.
He just wasted Q.
Does
he have ult? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Next
That's
phase.
what I was actually looking for. You don't want to get ulted in by Jarvan and then flashed out of, and then you just have to sit in the turret range. So the Praetor is in very close proximity of being able to just outright turret dive Tally.
Tally's ticking through his final crafting potion charge. Praetor still has one more for himself. His teleport will come back up shortly.
Level 6s for the bot lanes now, and I think both TPs are coming up relatively soon. So I think, as we have Cupcake roaming up to the top side, I think a bot side of the map play is what I was going to say, but this is pretty adventurous. He's gone for a wander. He's on vision though, so probably not going to find too much.
That's actually really well spotted out, and also not a bad roam from Cupcake either.
Yeah.
When you base at the same time as the enemy duo lane, and you've got Moby Boots as well as Blitzcrank W, you can zoom around the map, maybe get a couple of cheeky looks in, and then be able to join Lost before it hits the turret. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Top lane again though, Praetor Fatali duking it out. That's so much damage being put down onto the Jarvan. No response from Tally as well.
This is getting dangerous because if this split push gets out of hand, we've already said that they kind of need Tally for engage here. They've got Jhin ulti and then all really short range people, unless a Blitzcrank hook lands, and I don't like relying on that. So I think that Tally needs to have enough priority in the lane to be able to shove out at least and then look to teamfight. He's never going to kill him in the 1v1,
never.
But right now he's going to be stuck under turrets just catching waves, which if you're playing against a split pusher is nearly the worst possible place to be on the map.
He needs Carbon to help. He needs Carbon and Claire to float top side of the map for him to be able to safely push in, and then on that next deploy, Legacy either need to swap lanes or they need to deploy bot side and then get the vision control behind, and whilst they have the top push for him to TP.
Well, we just checked with someone we haven't seen too much of this game. Only is doing some counter jungling against Carbon. Relatively even in CS against the Nunu. But there has been an Ocean Dragon pickup by Legacy early in this match.
Yeah, Chish is pulling his hair out somewhere. No Dark Seal, no Moby Boots. Elise has just gone standard jungle item and looking for deep vision. In saying that, lanes are actually doing okay. Praedyth is winning quite heavily. Mid lane is completely neutral, which against the Lucian lane, who's quite a bully, is a good thing.
Yeah.
And bottom lane, for how bad they were doing at the start of the game, have actually equalized okay.
Yeah, only 10 CS.
Again, only as well as Carbon going to meet inside the jungle. Carbon wants to take down this Rift Settle. Quite easy for him to get that. Good ball from Cupcake, but that's a flash forward from T-Gun. Knocks Lost, but not into the turret. He tries to flash the wall, instead goes towards the brush. Everyone moving forward. Lost is going to get taken down. T-Gun will pay for it, but now Cupcake is the one who is in trouble. Blitzcrank is very slow without his W up. Heal is still available for low. Cupcake will get slowed tremendously, and the Varus is still pushing.
Player has killed Shock in the meantime. That's a little bit interesting. Looks like there was a 2v2 in the middle lane, but Shock didn't actually use any of his summoner spells. Also interesting to note that Low didn't burn heal to save T-Gun. Might have resulted in another kill there if he had have done so.
They had the Ignite on early though. I think T-Gun actually played that so well. As soon as he got hooked, he went for the flash ball onto Lost.
Yep.
Like instant reaction. I think that was really smart and then worked out well for them.
Legacy used this time as well as their 2v2 in the mid lane to try and look for Rift Scuttle.
They see this.
Only trying to stop this. Camille's coming in, going to go for the
Teleport
fight.
as well.
Teleport in. Praedyth looking for the kill. Only picks up the gets the Rift Tower. Now Tally going to take quite a bit of damage. Good ultimate from Carbon, but the rest of the people from TM nice and healthy, and Claire can't output enough consistent damage.
I mean, that's a huge equalizer. All of a sudden, in a winning split push lane, your jungler, it's actually the support. T-Gun grabs a Rift Herald for himself.
That is unlucky, actually.
Yeah,
support,
no sweeper.
Yeah, support trinkets are so much more valuable than the junglers. Jungler wants to walk around and can actually drop it in all of the lanes, I guess. He has potential to go anywhere. T-Gun with Moby Boots, sort of the same thing, but he's obviously tied to the bot lane.
So here's that fight mid lane. Claire was able to, looks like, pick up an easy kill against Shock. Dashes back in. Yeah, that's just...
Miscalculation of damage. Further OP. It stacks up so quickly.
Miscalculation or just whiffs the Q?
That too. Should have used the empowered E
Mantra
for the
W.
disengage.
No. Mantra W. In a 1v1, Mantra W is so broken. You heal for 40% missing HP, 20% at the start, 20% at the end.
Bottom lane again. Seems like T-Gun's been hooked. Another time by Cupcake. Can't keep taking a few more of those.
I mean, without giving too much away about the Chiefs right now, is Ray's still playing Varus? And if so, is he going Bork build or is he going Essence Reaver build?
Quinn is a big Essence Reaver fan. Raze is a big Essence Reaver fan. I don't know about on the Varus, but definitely on the Ashe and things like that. But Varus, I think he's still a staple AD, like hasn't fallen off. We're seeing more Jhin now. We're seeing a lot of Caitlyn, but I think the two CC AD carries in Ashe and Varus, I think, are still definitely around the meta.
So the one reason I like it in this matchup, I'm way on the Essence Reaver hype train at the moment. But Jarvan goes double offensive items, which are HP stacking in the Cleaver as well as Titanic.
Yeah.
And Nunu's going to have a ton of HP as well.
Yeah.
So I actually think Bork in this situation is really good. In saying that, I think that when you're playing a 1-4 comp and you need more wave clear, Essence Reaver into Static Shiv at the moment clears out waves for Varus's so quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, you were talking about the HP stacking as well. With the 7.12 updates on the support items, Locket, now based on how much HP you have. So supports are going, often tank supports at least, are going face the mountain into Locket or just stacking a lot of health more so than they would go resist earlier.
But we also haven't seen many mage supports or range supports pick up Redemption, which was meant to be the other side of the changes, where the casters would try to pick up Redemption more, but we see more Mikhail's, Ardent Sensor instead.
Yeah, I think because Redemption now scales triple with healing and shielding bonus, I think a lot of people are opting into Mikhail's because of all the the Enchanter support items, that most of them give 10% healing and shielding, right? The Redemption, the Ardent Sensor all give that, but Mikhail's gives 20. So that's basically what, if you get Mikhail's first and then go Redemption, that's 60% bonus. So that's like a lot of value, and I think a lot of people are opting in for Redemption like second item now as opposed to first.
Just no early rush Redemptions anymore. Let's see how the rest of this game pans out, because currently TM holding on quite nicely against Legacy, about 1,000 gold up. We have a tweet coming in from Mr. Unlucky O's. Here's one for the casters. Does J4 ult prevent Camille from hookshotting out?
Nope.
I don't think so.
You can actually hookshot over the wall, so that's absolutely fine. It acts as a normal wall, so just like you can condemn into J4 ult, which sucks as a J4 player, you can just hookshot onto the side of the wall. So that's why I was saying, as long as he has ulti for the first initial get on top of him, then the hookshot should be able to follow him out, even if he flashes.
You can condemn J4's ult, you can also tumble out of the ultimate.
We've actually not so much anymore. It used to be able to do it all the time.
Used to be horrible.
Interesting delay here, because I actually think that the top lane turret is going to go down very low.
This is the Legacy trade. They keep doing it. I feel like every time I'm on the desk or every time I'm casting, like Legacy do this trade where they just trade a top inner for a bot outer because they recognize they're behind and they try and make some like be-all and end-all like winning play when they're behind in the tempo, and then they just lost 2 turrets to a Camille.
They've got
Harold
charging middle.
Oh, that was actually a really nice headbutt as well, because all of a sudden he's not going to be able to eat him, smite him, and slap in the eye. So Harold just got a lot of damage off on that turret that maybe Carbon would have been able to prevent.
That entire play from Legacy sent Tally into bottom lane that was watered out by TM, so they played that quite patiently. Making sure they pulled low and T-Gun off of that turret, sacrificed the turret, they get 2 for 1, and mid lane turret is now so low as well. Suddenly, TM have equalized the gold advantage. Equalized the lead, and it's completely tied up.
I like to see the gold advantage in the top lane. Camille just got 2 turrets. Yeah, it's 6.6. So she's 1,000 ahead already. Tally's 0-2 behind a little bit of CS, but that gold's coming from the turret. She got the top outer by herself, and then got the top inner as well. So that lead is only going to get worse, and Tally is only going to be in a worse and worse position as this game progresses.
Now we get to see the growth of TM, because they've been in situations like this before. And when they should have been team fighting with their split pusher, they weren't. And then they stuck with the play too much. Right now they have a great situation where he still has teleport, and he can go towards the bottom lane and start shoving in a brand new couple of turrets. But see if they can actually stick with the play into the 25-30 minute part of the game where 1-4 actually becomes difficult to execute around Baron.
Still Claire picking up this Lucian mid lane. We've seen a few more players pick up Lucian heading into the mid lane recently. Against the Karma, hasn't done too much, just even lane at the moment.
All right, so here's an interesting question for you. Ooh, let's hold it.
Claire's going to get locked down here. Tegan wants to follow up. Good cleanse being used, but Lowe's flashing forward. Tegan decided not to follow up there. But he's going down to the bottom lane. It's Carbon. He's flashed away, gets a smite consumed, pops absolute 0, but it's for absolutely nothing as only picks up a kill.
And they cancel the TP as well, so Tally's not going to be able to port to the next fight. This is looking really grim for Legacy and actually really good for TM right now. They're going to get the mid-outer turret, the most important turret on the map by far, because it just opens you up to so many more options. Tally actually reset as well, so he's not going to get any damage on the top turret. So TM have the choice of opting into going bot side. They're going to lose a few waves in the top side, but if they get complete bot side control, Camille's already about to crash that wave onto the turret, so they're probably going to get bot turret too.
That was going to be my question. As a duo lane, when do you choose to 1v2 versus when do you actually demand that your top laner goes deal with his mess? Is it depending on how strong you are?
Putting the bot lane mid?
No, putting your bot lane against Kratos at the moment.
Oh, it feels like it only makes the situation worse.
Yep.
I feel like also as like a Blitzcrank, like, I don't know, Blitzcrank Jhin doesn't actually sound too oppressive for a Camille to deal with. Like, she's just going to get under the turret, and you have basically every 20 seconds you can throw one hook, and if it lands, you can punish her, and if it doesn't, then she just clears the way for free. So it's pretty... Blitzcrank hook is not reliable. Blitzcrank is most reliable when you can deny vision and you forcing them to check into you.
Yeah.
So as a team that's behind, Blitzcrank isn't actually all that good. except in the case where he gets like a miracle hook off. But when you're ahead and you can deny the vision, that's when Blitzcrank really shines.
Legacy are able to rotate 5 of their members mid lane from bottom lane to pick up another turret for themselves. 4-2 in turrets though. TM have 1,000 gold lead. So if Legacy can find a way to equalize the turrets on the map, they can pull this one back in their favor.
I was talking about when TM just rotated down to the bot turret and took that bot outer. In hindsight, it was a bad decision because they lost their mid outer as a team that, ooh, here we go.
That's an aggressive play. Tally's gone way over the top, but look at this. Tegan's caught the entire team behind him. He's got no backup when he goes in. Only gets the first kill. Karma's the next one to fall, and Legacy's carries are now going to try and run away. But look at Pradev joining a team fight with TM. This is unheard of from the man. Legacy lose 2 of their members.
Certainly do, and Baron's up in 5 seconds. Potential to go actually have a look at it because of how much damage they do. Instead, they actually peel off. Big creep waves top and bottom means that they might be able to shove in here.
And that was the counter pick Ali showing in full force, I guess. Tally just went over the top of the Alistar straight onto the priority target in low on the Varus, and Ali immediately just comboed his entire team. He had no follow-up, and then they just couldn't do any damage to low. Tally dies for free, and then they just get wiped in the team fight.
And I mean, so much of this is about zone control because you thought there that Low would probably be blown up. I mean, he had burnt his summoner spells to get on top of Claire in the team fight before, but it was really the fact that they kind of swapped spots. Pradesh and T-Gun as a unit attacked that back line. And at the moment, Pradesh is just so much more threatening than the Jarvan.
And I do want to know, Blitzcrank has kind of resurfaced into the meta right now, and obviously the Goon goes hand in hand with playing the Blitzcrank. But when Blitzcrank wasn't a big pick, TM T-Gun was a big Alistar player, and I feel like nobody is playing Ali right now, but he's actually giving a good performance, and he's showing that it can actually be good.
Almost gets caught out. Cupcake looked like he wanted to go back for that hook. This game so far, though, TM have looked fantastic. Prade's been joining almost every single skirmish for team fight, split pushing effectively, and they've now got 2 inner turrets. Only inner turret left standing is mid lane. 2,000 gold lead for themselves. Only's picked up the 3rd elemental dragon of this game as well, denying 3 oceans for Legacy.
And I mean, really only TM knows what's going on here, but this is 2 weeks in a row, potentially 3 because they ran the set play in week 1 as well. It just didn't work because T-Gun missed all of his abilities on the Thresh, did the Alistar.
Teleport.
But, oh yeah,
there we go,
let's shut up and just talk about the fight that's about to come in there.
Yeah, they're looking for a very deep flank. It's probably going to fizzle though. Yeah. So Legacy do back out of the jungle.
So what I was going to say is, like, you have to kind of question why their Game 1 performances look so calm and level-headed versus what they showed in Game 2 and 3 versus Sin, because they looked very frazzled. They didn't know how to play against the Taliyah. Ryoma was absolutely everywhere on the map. They couldn't engage as a 4-man unit, even when 2 people were attacking the split push of Praedyth. And maybe it's a preparation thing, maybe it's that they're still a young team and, you know, playing for 2 hours on stage is quite a long time. It's pretty exhausting, but their Game 1s have looked pretty spectacular so far.
It's also like you get a taste of winning, right? Like you win the first game and then you get to a point in the second and the third game where you're like, oh, like this is the point where I can just grab victory. Like if we play properly, then we will win, and that like causes you to put like extra pressure on yourself. Bunch of new players in the mid and the AD carry.
And even your veteran player at this point wants to win, because we know that T-Gun's been on a drought for quite a long time.
We just got hooked again by Cupcake. Pops the ultimate and just runs angrily at the Blitzcrank.
You want to hook Karma or Varus at this stage of the game. Anyone else that you hook, probably a dead target.
It worked out well because I got the Alistar ult. He's pretty... He's a bit of a big boo without his ulti, to be honest. He doesn't really do an awful lot. Squishiest tank in the game without his R button, but... Bot lane is pushing 4 TM towards Legacy, so Camille's going to base, and then I would think he'd look for a group, because that's just going to slow push, but he's actually going... Oh no, he's actually walking to a team now.
Yep.
They're going to look for an engage.
He's actually gone Titanic Hydra as well. So Praedyth going towards the team fight, Camille build. Potentially.
Well, here we go.
Cupcake's being caught out by a good knockup from Tegan. Cupcake's been able to do nothing. He can't cancel the absolute zero though. Doesn't do too much damage. Tegan flashes away. Here comes Camille, but Tally's jumped into the backlines already. Shock and Low are stuck in the Cataclysm. Tally wants to chase, gets a double kill for himself. Legacy still have 4 members alive as Low is caught by multiple members and only is left alive, and barely as Cupcake almost lands that final hook.
All right, cool. So Only's going to have to come up with another miracle steal or be able to kill one of the AD carries here to really impact this play. You can see they've done the right thing. They've sent Claire into the back of the pit. 3 members in front of Baron, no extra damage, and there's really no way you can get in on top of the Nunu.
Cupcake almost died there. Can't get in to try and steal the Baron, but maybe it'll stop some recalls.
Nah.
So
That's a fun play.
So TM pulled the trigger on that fight slightly too early, right? Camille was still walking from the base, and then nobody was blocking Lott's Jhin ults. Low was standing inside the Jarvan ult. He couldn't move, and Shock was standing like right in front of him on full HP. And you'll see it in a moment here, and he just wasn't blocking anything.
So let's have a look. So Camille's about to enter right about now. He comes in, and already Tally's flown into the back line, cleaned up T-Gun, and then all of those shots going in on the squishy targets. Low isn't able to change position, so 3 went in. Only probably should have walked in front of the Cataclysm, to be honest, because he was doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
At least he could have blocked some damage. And that meant that the Baron did go over. Also important to note that I believe that was an empowered Q that came out of Shock. I feel like when you have Ardent Sensor and Athene, you have to empower your first E in your team fight. That's pretty much your whole job with that build.
That's the rule on support Karma. Like, after 20 minutes, you're not allowed to empower Q anymore because it does nothing. But he is a mid lane Karma, but he's chosen for support items anyway, so...
Yep. He's just a support Karma with gold.
Yep. Did you know, little fun fact, 7.12 was the Cupcake buff patch.
Was it?
Yep. They buffed Knight's Vow to give him CDR, and he's a Knight's Vow support player.
Oh boy.
Yep. And he now he gets CDR for his troubles, and he gets to build the same item.
Yeah, don't understand why, because Knight's Vow was already a very strong item. We saw picked up by top laners and supports from time to time.
Yeah. You saw it mostly on top laners because it didn't give support and CDR, and CDR is the most valuable stat. But now that it does, it's a more enticing first option.
It's just 12% damage reduction. It's pretty insane. Legacy are now trying to use their Baron buff to take down top lane in a turret. Karma's going to take quite a bit of damage for that, though.
I still don't know whether they win a team fight here, Legacy. They need to be careful, just because of the fact that they have teleport available on Praetor.
Oh, that's a good hook onto Only. Uses the repel. Carbon's channeling absolute zero, but everyone gets out in time. Curtain Call to try and start a team fight. Empowered E will come out from Karma, and Tegan's taking quite a bit of damage. Pops his own ultimate, but still being shredded through by the team. Cupcake almost landing that second hook, but a little bit too far off.
And this is what you were talking about before the game, Ejin. The fact that their disengage is kind of strange if they get hooked. If they don't get hooked, they're fine, but as soon as they get hooked, they only have really the run in a straight line away from Cupcake.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that meant that they lose a turret as well as a lot of their HP.
And they won't be able to do that again. They burn Alistar ulti, they'll get that back up, but they burn Summoner heal to keep him out.
Yep.
They use basically everything, and he was blocking the Jhin ultis for the Elise on the way out. They've got hooks, so... If Legacy just set up and do a similar thing on the bot side of the map that they did with the top outer, then top inner rather, then it's not going to work out well for TM.
And we'll see what T-Gun goes towards, but I think this is one of those games where the most gold efficient item you can pick up, although he's caught again.
Yeah, he's locked down. He's going to take quite a bit of damage there. No ultimate available for the Alistar, but gets a massive shield.
That was a big shield.
What I was going to say is I actually think it's nearly about time that he just changes back over to Tabbies, because he's against double AD carry with the Jarvan. Tabbies are not that cheap of an item, and they're, as far as gold efficiency goes, the best item you can pick up against auto attackers.
Can you talk about gold efficiency on an item you have to sell and then purchase again, though?
But that's what I'm saying.
If
I
was
reckon
the
even
goon,
with the sell, I reckon it's worthwhile.
If I was the goon, I would not buy Tabbies. There's no way in hell that I'm spending I would just back and buy a Kindle Gem and like go for Face of the Mountain. Oh, he just upgraded Ruby Sightstone, so effectively a Kindle Gem's worth of gold into his Sightstone. I wouldn't sell my boost. There's no way.
He's just getting engaged on so heavy, and he's the only frontline they have at the moment.
It feels like a bit of a band-aid though, right? Like just don't get hooked. Like, you need to stop mispositioning and getting hooked rather than be more tanky for when you do misposition and then get hooked.
Only got hooked last time.
Yeah,
the reason he died was because Only got hooked.
Okay, T-Gun is a hook magnet, and he picked a hook magnet champion intentionally, but...
Teleport coming in.
Yeah,
this is going to be a big team fight.
Yeah. Big flank coming up from
Camille
Tally.
is not here.
TM don't know, and Karma gets the dragon as well. Only's in trouble, already taking so much damage for that. Tally waiting in the wings, finds low, but instead goes for the backhand target. Shock's been knocked out of it. T-Gun's the next person that's in trouble. They've already lost Only. Camille is split pushing in the mid lane. Dragon picked up by Legacy. They get 2 kills as well. Lost KS, but that's
one
fine.
of the best calls that Praetors could have made in that situation.
Yeah, if Legacy don't hark him in on bot, they don't actually get a lot out of this. Their top lane is pushing towards them. They're going to have to answer the Camille. Are they going to lose that?
Yeah, they're going to lose it. That's gone.
That's gone.
Praetor picks
and they're basing.
Praetor picks up mid lane inner, and
that's the most one-sided team fight I've seen that's resulted in a net loss.
And he's going to go into their jungle. He's going to be able to pick up whatever Raptors he wants. There's a red buff if he wants to grab it that he can probably do in time. Well, then now he's getting collapsed on.
No, it's a Blitzcrank and Nunu. He can just walk. Oh, no, and a Jarvan. Take the plant and wall away. No!
Oh! Carbon. He's still going for this one. He's got Tally just behind him. Depends if his hookshot comes back in time. He moves back, gets a blood boil, hookshot. That goes back in. Praetor, not quite sure what he's trying to do there. Pops the ultimate. He's now dead. caught out by so many members of Legacy.
I mean, but once again, they don't actually get anything off that play. There's 2 minutes until Baron's going. They're going to grab a big fat wave top lane, but no creep wave in the mid lane at the moment. So Legacy, they're 6,000 gold ahead. Look like they're going to run away with this game, but still chasing people around the map a little bit.
Lost has got big items now as well, i.e. Rapid Fire Cannon Static Shift picked up. Only in a lot of trouble. They're forced to flash away from Claire.
Only's had a bit of a shocker. His scoreline says 4-1-1, but
yeah. Score doesn't mean everything. He's definitely been hooked a few times.
Not having the best of games only.
Gold lead is in favor of Jarvan now, top lane.
Ooh. Cupcake moving in for another hook. Flash sync, can't get Shock. Now Tally's gone real deep in. Shock already used his flash last fight. Can't get out of the Cataclysm. Tegan pops his own ultimate. Everyone for Legacy is trying to dive here. This might be bad for them. Only's going to join the fight, and Praetor is teleporting in. Carbon's fairly low. Here they go. Good hook on towards Only, but Camille jumps in as well. They kill Cupcake to kick things off. The rest of Legacy still want to go for a fight. Claire's dashing on in. More empowered Qs being thrown out by Shock. They lose their support, and TM still can't trade against Legacy.
They just look like they were on the wrong page there. Oh, sorry, they weren't on the right. They weren't on the same page. Cupcake goes for the flash hook, misses, and then immediately backs away, and Tally just goes real ham on the Jarvan ulti, because they knew Karma didn't have flash, because she flashed away from the Jarvan ulti in the bot river. Sorry, the bot jungle, like around the dragon fight. So they were going for the right target, but when they misexecuted on the hook, they were all really split off. Tally, again, overcommits on the engage and then gets blown up.
And the other thing they have to do is be a little bit more careful of that play in the future, because Shock is about to hit level 16 and has a death cap. So he doesn't do that much damage because of, you know, base MR that's coming through. But as far as huge shields that he's going to give the whole team, you're not going to be able to blow him up through a Cataclysm combo anymore. It's going to have to be a little bit better executed than that if you're Legacy.
Yeah, the Guardian Angel being picked up by Tally here, moving towards Gargoyle Stoneplate next, and Zeke's Herald picked up by Cupcake to go with that Knight's Vow.
It's interesting. I haven't seen too much of it. I don't think it's that good an item. It gives you like a slowing shield that you can see around him, like when you use your ulti, Blitzcrank right now. Obviously, it still buffs your 80 carries.
Beep boop.
Beep boop. 80 carries damage, gives them magic damage on their auto attacks. I think it's 50%.
This is a weird brush to be looking at. They're going to access through River. This is one thing that I feel like if you watch Legacy's footage, you know this is going to happen. They're going to push out mid lane.
Here they go.
Oh,
then they get the tether, but they jump on Carbon instead. Tankiest member of Legacy, and Tally just finds pure access into the back lines. Blow flashes away early. Big shields being used. Kratos in the front lines getting taken down already. Tally falls, so it's a 1-for-1, but GA already used. Cupcake charging in towards low. Doesn't have his flash available on the Varus. Hook connects, pulls him back in. Lost goes on a killing spree, and Cupcake picks one up for himself.
It's a really nice team fight out of Legacy. They get out of range of the initial tether. The initiation was onto Carbon, who's the tankiest member on the team right now. And then just the turnaround was absolutely phenomenally played. Unfortunately, Praetor is going a little bit too deep at the moment. And the 280 carries are dealing with him relatively quickly.
Praetor is the only player on this roster that was on the original TM roster that was doing those random death push all over the map. So I feel like that's his play. And I feel like it's a very risky thing to do. Like just death bushing in like a random thing in a topside jungle feels like it's a very low percentage play. You're conceding a lot of tempo. If Legacy didn't actually check that there, then they would have got complete control of like everywhere on the map. All the waves would have been pushing in. It's pretty risky.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is teams aren't going to randomly walk through the jungle if they're playing League of Legends well. They're going to shove out mid lane. They're going to use one of their blue trinkets to check Baron. If you're not on it, they're just going to walk in with a sweeper and be able to spot out exactly where you are.
And if they're pushing in the waves and you're not catching them, there's something up.
Yeah, so let's have a look at where they've got access from. So they've got access from mid lane, and you can see that they're able to fight a very nice front-to-back style team fight here. They dive onto the back line in the form of Praetor, but really they just deal with him with the double 80 carries, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with Cupcake, Carbon, as well as the J4 respawning. And great hook there to just nail low and complete the team fight.
And TM are just splitting off in the two different directions. Elise and Karma ran up the river. Varus tried to run through the ramp towards the blue buff.
Yep.
In a team fight like that, front to back, you really want Karma to be peeling your carries backwards together, and you want to be grouped so that you can be dishing out damage as she can shield you from damage, right? But if you're splitting off from the Karma completely alone, Low missed his Varus ulti in that fight as well.
Oh, big knockoff from Tiga. Can't do much else though. Tally's already diving into the back lines. Big Cataclysm, block and lower. Just no way for them to get out of this one. Tally will slide back out. TM are holding the ground quite well. Carmen's the first casualty, but immediately TM lose 2. And that's a big catch onto Low. He can't go anywhere. Claire splash forward. We've lost both 80 carries moving forward. Only left alive. And Legacy should be able to pick up this game.
And Claire's had back-to-back phenomenal team fights there. He's navigating these on a 500 range AD carry very well.
He's going into the fountain. Lost? What's that crit shot? Oh, hook doesn't come out from Cupcake, and only will live, but still Legacy working on the Nexus. It was a tough early game for them, but they find one team fight, pick up Baron, bounce right back, and they're going to pick up a Game 1 victory over TM.
They won't be happy with that one. I think they fell way too far behind early and gave TM too much room. I think for a team in Legacy's position who's contesting top 2, sort of thing, like they want to be playing in the finals. I think they'll be looking at that game and looking to clean up their early game. And
what they'll be thinking as well is that it was probably the TM's decision to trade bottom lane for mid lane priority that allowed them back into the game. It wasn't even really a strong proactive play out of the Legacy lineup. It was more of a good capitalization of an inexperienced move out of the TM gaming squad. So, I mean, a win's a win. They pick up the point. They've still got a chance to go 3 points on the week, which is very important for them to stay in the top contentions. But I think they'll be looking at that and thinking, how did it all go wrong in the early game?
Yep, trying to set themselves off to Rift Rivals with 3 points in the last week of their OPL here. But if you're TM, you're probably still disappointed with that game as well, because we heard in the interviews, they want to start picking up wins mid-split. If you can't even pick up a map where you're that far ahead early on, doing all the right plays, off of one mistake, it's definitely going to be devastating.
And that was definitely a winnable game, right? Yep. Like, that was a very strong early game, and I think they will be disappointed that they didn't translate that.
And not only that, I think that when you have a look at how they were setting up around the map, they look like they were the proactive team for the first 20 minutes of that game. And when you feel like you're in control and you start losing team fights, it's an even worse feeling as the TM squad. So I think that one's going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah, certainly will be. TM still looking to see if they can pick up their first victory here in the OPL. They picked up one game over Sin, but that's about it so far. So only picking up a single point here, but hopefully be able to see them bounce back in game 2. For now, though, let's send it back to the analyst desk to break down that game a little bit further.
Well, there we have it. Legacy proving too strong despite TM's early lead. So what went right for TM? Let's start with that, guys.
Well, I'd say the whole pick ban went right for them. I really like that they got Elise. It's like 100% pick ban in like almost every region. And they got it into like a really good matchup. It was into Nunu, so Elise should literally just snowball the game.
Snowball.
Yeah. They even had a good match up top, like Camille beats Jarvan.
Yeah.
Mid, I guess, got countered, but it's a Karma, and like if Karma just presses RE, then she's done her job. And their bot lane actually got a like Alistar into Blitzcrank, which is like really good. So I really like the whole Tainted Minds pick ban.
Yeah, no, I think TM had like a really intelligent and sort of like adaptive draft. They didn't just like have something like written down in stone. They sort of made adjustments here and there, and it was actually kind of good. Yeah. I think the thing that we really need to comment on is how the Elise into Nunu played out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Juves probably can speak a lot to this, but I'm the Moby Boot specialist on Elise, and I think that's kind of why people are hesitant ever to pick a Nunu into Elise. It's because you can't really do like what Nunu does well, which is track junglers, slow them down, ruin their clears and stuff. If Elise just gets to buy Mobies and just like run and gank lane to lane. And it wasn't even for lack of opportunity. Like Juves and I were discussing on the walk down, like, oh, which lanes could he have ganked like feasibly? It's like, oh, the Camille lane's easy set for. Flash Alistar down bottom lane really easy set for. Even Karma W. Like there were definitely a lot of options, I think. Yeah.
Well, we can go deeper in the draft into a second, but I want to bring up this first replay, Jesh. It's TM. They catch Carbon in the river, and as we bring it up, this is a moment that really changes the game for TM, and it allows them to take control.
Yeah, so TM actually had a really good setup here. They shove in bot, and then they get like a move into river, and they've just like made Claire blow his flash and cleanse. So they collapse on the river, and they find Carbon, and this opens up like the shove in mid, and they get like it's already at 2 HP anyway, but they get the mid turret, and then they get the bot turret as well, and off that they actually get like a good amount of control over this game. And that's really like you'd really like to sort of see them transition this into like further leads.
Yeah.
So they get to rotate like pretty cleanly here through like the bottom jungle, and they force Legacy out. So they're also denying the minion waves that Camille is currently like crashing on turret.
But when they take this lead, though, you're saying they don't actually. I mean, as we saw, they didn't translate it into anything. They didn't extend this lead once they took it.
I mean, yeah, they got close to it. I think we'll probably see in a future replay they do like start setting themselves up for like more and more. But yeah, like I guess obviously with the scoreline they didn't do enough with it.
Well, let's take a look at this second replay, Juves. It's the mid lane. Walk us through this fight, because Legacy could have really improved and done this better, right?
Yeah, so here I just feel that Legacy forced too hard. They kind of felt the pressure of the game. Tally just ults in onto an 80 carry where his team can't follow up. Their team's all about kiting back and peeling the 2 80 carries. And Tainted Minds have a Karma, and they just kited back and killed. They just killed Legacy's front line. They just played front to back. They just killed their front line. And like TM played that fight really well. They weren't in engage range. Weren't in engage range, and that's the big thing. That Legacy just felt like they needed to force. It felt like they were getting choked out of the game, and Tainted Minds just kited back and played the team fight really well.
So if you're in that position as Tainted Minds, then you've got a gold lead. You're going up against these favorites, and you're like, we can take this, right? But it doesn't kind of go as planned. So what goes wrong for them at this point?
I just think that they had the strongest split push. Like Camille was beating Jarvan, Camille solo killed Jarvan, and they have a good 4. So Karma is always good to like shove a lane with, and then put pressure in the lane and then run away.
Right.
And like they could have just kept doing that with 4 members. At least Cocoon run away while Camille splitting and pressuring bot. At least can even go and dive Jarvan with Camille. It would have been that game. It was all about just 4-1. And just not engaging in team fights. You don't need to team fight.
Yeah, and that's exactly how they drafted it and exactly how Praetor likes to play, but they didn't really play to that, did they, Jim?
Yeah, no, so that was, I think, the one downfall was that I think when they realized that they were starting to win these little skirmishes and fights is that they thought, oh, okay, let's just keep going back into it. And that's why we really would have liked them to use the wave clear of the Varus and the Karma, just to hold their mid and one side lane, and just to have Praetor control the other one completely.
Well, let's take a look at this third replay, shall we? Because this is the moment, this is the fight near the Baron, and Legacy kind of take control of the game again. So, Jesh, as we go through this, just highlight a couple of good choices that Legacy make.
So what Legacy have done well here is that they have the tempo and that they've come out of base faster and they have like better vision control, especially in this mid side rush. So right now, like both the 80 carries are just like sort of untouchable. The front line is protecting Claire and Lost is off in the back, like no one's touching him as well. So obviously everyone on TM just gets cleaned up like quite quickly, and then like the main carry threats from Legacy are just never in trouble. And then off that, the replay cuts it off, but they're going at the Baron, and then like from there, it's a pretty clinical like cleanup for Legacy just to close the game out.
Actually, that's a position they've been in before. They know how to close out that game from that, which suggests to me that like one of the things that went wrong for TM is when they got that lead, that's not a position they find themselves in a lot, like in OPL, and so like it almost looked like they weren't sure what to do with themselves. You feel that way? No? Disagree?
Well, I mean,
strong disagree.
So, well, the way I look at it is is like T-Gun's been like a lot of people have said like T-Gun for his shot calling, right?
Sure.
And so like if he's actually a good shot caller and he's been in the scene for a long time, he's had experience shot calling. I feel like, and Praetor has had experience in split pushing. I feel like there's no reason and no excuse for them to not execute a 4-1 at the very least, because like it's like all they played last split, and even at the start of this split, that's all they've played. So.
Well, if you watched T-Gun's player cam at the end of that game, he was a very unhappy man and had a few choice words for the rest of his team and himself. I'm sure he's going to be quite harsh on himself as he moves forward. But look, let's talk about this draft, because we did talk about it at the start. And in particular, I know you wanted to highlight Elise into Nunu. Now, what was interesting about that is Legacy banned Lee Sin, which you were saying which you were saying Nunu was actually quite good into.
Yeah, so Lee Sin, Lee Sin can't really punish Nunu. And Nunu, like Lee Sin can't really he can't just hard gank lanes unless the lanes play really bad. He needs a level 6 or some CC in a lane to set it up. Whereas on the contrary to that, like Elise doesn't need CC lanes. She can just like Moby boot into a lane, cocoon into like whatever, and just blow up a target. And Nunu can kind of control Lee Sin a little bit better. He can't get 100 to 0'd by Lee early, whereas like Elise can actually like outduel Nunu.
And then, as on top of that as well, is that you sort of, when you play Lee Sin in that matchup, you have like a timer, because once Nunu gets once Nunu gets 2 items, his team fight's so much stronger, and then Lee Sin sort of just falls off heaps, whereas the Elise is always going to be relevant just because of that cocoon, and then even her scaling is quite better because she builds like magic penetration and stuff, and actually just fights better.
So as we bring up their stats then, what's the best this matchup could have gone for Carbon then? Like, he ended up quite, with an alright KDA, right?
Well...
Is this the best case scenario?
I think the best case scenario was what actually happened. Like, Only has a good score here, and like I'm not trying to like take anything away from the way he played, but like he didn't do anything early game. He made like 1 pick, or maybe 1 or 2 picks with his team. Whereas like in Elise, like level 3, 4, 5, you just want to be like ganking lanes. He actually had winning lanes, and that's what's like surprised me. He could have gone to those winning lanes and just dived. Like Elise is like the queen of tower diving, and I feel like he just didn't utilize the kit. I don't know if he was scared, just trying to play around too much vision. He's even got a flash Alistar bot lane. Just flash, knock the bot lane into your team, and follow up with a cocoon.
Speaking of Ali, what do you think of the Ali pick?
I actually think it's kind of bold.
Yeah.
So Cupcake has now become that player who, despite T-Gun being like the blitzcrank player, I think that Cupcake's actually put it out a couple times now, and I know behind the scenes he's been working a little bit too. So I think when they saw the Karma, they were just like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is time. And I think that, you know, it's a nice little adaptation that they're just like, oh, okay, you're going to blind pick Blitzcrank. Like, we'll give you, we'll punish you for it.
I don't think they thought they were blind picking Blitzcrank, because it's even though we've seen Fantix play Karma mid and stuff, it's predominantly a support, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is like, yeah, it gets flexed to support more, but it's definitely still like everyone should treat it as a flex pick.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Picking Blitz into the Goon is a no-go zone. No-go zone, dude. He's fired up now, dude. You don't pick Blitz into the T-gun.
So do you see things changing a lot going into game 2 then? What do they need to switch around in this draft?
Well, I think firstly, Legacy are going to look back at their draft and be like, oh, like that probably didn't work. Like, we fell behind early. They fell behind like 3K, and like, I guess like you can't really risk that every game, because like if you're behind 3K and they play properly, they're going to close the game out. And I think Tank to Blind's like, if I was TM, I would go back to the room and be like, wow, like, boys, we actually played really well. We just didn't close it out.
Yeah.
Like, next game, like, we definitely can win the game.
Yeah, just honing in those fundamentals, like working out that there was like a few like key fights where they just needed to not be fighting, and just to be like splitting up across the map and like taking control of the lanes. I think that generally, like, speaking from a draft perspective, and then their early game was quite fine. I would be looking to repeat it if they can. Yeah, as Jules mentioned, just maybe a little bit more pressure from Only. Praedyth had like such good control of top lane. I would like to see him calling his jungle up and being like, you know what, like, I control this wave. I'll build it. We're diving in 2 waves. Come now.
Did you feel like we talked about this a bit upstairs, but did you feel like the Legacy comp, even though it went behind early, was going to outscale towards the end? Because I want to bring up Shock v Only. Sorry, I want to bring up Shock v Claire in the mid lane. My apologies. And I feel like, I mean, Lucian's just AD, right? So Lucian's going to outscale.
Yeah. So they do have like a good team fighting comp late game. Obviously, like the 5-on-5 double AD carry with like pretty solid front line in Nunu. It's really hard to out team fight that. I think that what Praedyth specifically had like the advantage because he was going to control the side lane, and that's what TM really needed to like snowball and accelerate on. And they just like they couldn't convert to that. So yeah, I guess like eventually if they weren't going to play around like their split pusher, then yeah, like Legacy would eventually outscale.
Do you want to go?
Well, I agree with Yish. I don't want to sound like I'm just harping on like the pick man so much.
Yeah, no.
But
if that's what you
no, well, like I think one thing Legacy do quite often, then they did it against us, is like they just pick ban for late game.
Yeah.
And like TM had the right idea this game, and so that's why I said if
the theory behind that, right, is if you think you're the better player or the better team, right, and you force the game longer, there are more decisions to be made. So if you think you're better, you're going to make more right decisions than your opposing team. So you're going to play for late game, right?
Well, with all due respect to TM, it's like they're probably one of the weaker teams in the OPL at the moment, and they've taken a 3-4K gold lead.
Yeah.
So if that's your late game and your idea of getting to late game, then it's not going to look good for you when you verse like a top tier team, is it?
Yeah, I think that's like a really, really shoddy practice method to be like, oh, it's okay, we can afford to fall behind every single game and we'll just pull it back later. I think that they need to review like how they're drafting and just hold themselves to a higher standard. Be like, we can afford to like pick something, like 1 or 2 things that will scale better, but we also need to like give ourselves an avenue for early success, and that's just not in the Nunu and it's not in the losing side lane matchups.
Because I think like Legacy are good players. Like mechanically they're good. Like they're all really good players. And like, so I would love to see them just pick like something with a bit more early game, a bit more flair, and just like go to town, just style.
Yeah, just style. You want to
just style on them. Get the Carbon Lee Sin out. I mean, he's still got the APM. He's still got the mechanics. Just whip it out.
You heard it here. Get on it, Tim Carbon Wendelli. Get on it.
24 is not too old. It's not too old.
says a rapidly aging.
Says a nearly 24.
All right. Well, that is our analysis of Game 1. We're about to get into Game 2, but do not go anywhere because we'll be back with that right after these highlights.
Oh, what are you doing, Tegan?
But
got him. Praedyth outplaying Tally in the top lane. Crazy to get that. Good ball from Cupcake, but that's a flash forward from Tegan. Knocks Lost, but not into the turret. He tries to flash the wall, instead goes towards the brush. Everyone moving forward. Lost is going to get taken down. Tegan will pay for it, but now Cupcake is the one who is in trouble. Blitzcrank is very slow without his W up. That's an aggressive play. Tally's gone way over the top, but look at this. Tegan's caught the entire team behind him. He's got no backup when he goes in. Only gets the first kill. Carbon's the next one to fall, and Legacy's carries are now going to try and run away, but look at Praedyth joining a team team fight with TM. This is unheard of from the man. Legacy lose 2 of their members. And the Cupcake's being caught out by a good knockoff from Tegan. Cupcake's been able to do nothing. He can't cancel the absolute zero though. Doesn't do too much damage. Tegan flashes away. Here comes Camille, but Tally's jumped into the backlines already. Shock and Low are stuck in the Cataclysm. Tally wants to chase, gets a double kill for himself. Legacy still have 4 members alive as Low is caught by multiple members and only is left alive, barely, as Cupcake almost lands that final hook. And Tally just finds pure access into the back lines. Low flashes away early, big shields being used. Kratos in the front lines getting taken out already. Tally falls, so it's a 1-for-1, but GA already used. Cupcake charging in towards Low, doesn't have his flash available on the Varus. Hook connects, pulls him back in. Lost goes on a killing spree, and Cupcake picks one up for himself. Big knockoff from Tiga, can't do much else though. Tally's already diving into the back lines. Big Cataclysm, block and Lower, just no way for them to get out of this one. Tally will slide back out. TM are holding the ground quite well. Karma's the first casualty, but immediately TM lose 2, and that's a big catch onto Low. He can't go anywhere. Claire's flash forward. We've lost both 80 carries moving forward. Only left alive, and Legacy should be able to pick up this game. But still, Legacy working on the Nexus. It was a tough early game for them. But they find one team fight, pick up Baron, bounce right back, and they're going to pick up a game 1 victory over TM.